you. Let me get the 5G on here. Let's do that. Bing, bang, bing. What's going on, everyone? All right, we are live. Looks like people actually got notified. Looks like I'm getting notified. Boom, bang, bing. We got a huge broadcast today. This is, I've been really looking forward to this specific broadcast because I've uncovered a couple things in the last 24 hours or so. Very, very interesting. You're actually really going to want to hear this. It put a whole new perspective. Because wherever you've grown up, wherever you were born, and wherever you've grown up, you have a unique experience. You have a unique perception. You have a unique, point of attention, right? But what you don't think about is how things are in necessarily other countries around the world. And so recently, I've had a significant discussion with someone who lived in China for 3 years, okay? And this person is from, a Western nation and went to China for 3 years. And this is what we're going to be talking about is, do you know how things really are in China right now? We hear that there's concentration camps. We hear that, the government controls. But let me tell you a couple things about what it's like in China today, okay? Because the freedom that we are fighting for in Western nations today is all but abolished in China, okay? So let me just tell you something. The reality we're trying to stop from happening is already a reality in China. So it's almost like China's already fallen, okay? Anyone in China, so I was talking to my buddy about this, and this is one of the things. No, I'm not wearing black. This is one of the things. First thing, movies in China. The Avengers, any Marvel movies, they record a different scene. They record different scenes and different endings of these mainstream movies for Chinese audiences. So there'll be parts of a movie that you'll be watching in a cinema in China, and parts of it will be completely muted. Other parts will have a totally different ending or different part of the movie that just are not shown in the Western nations where these things are recorded. Any sexual scenes are generally omitted from a movie in China. They have a very, very strict control on the media, okay, in China. Now, here's the thing. When I was talking to my buddy, he said, dude, there is very, very, there's like no homeless in China. Everyone has a job. There's no public handouts. Like there's no welfare. It's the government will give you a job. Everyone's working in China. And so therefore, everyone has something to lose because they all have a job or a family, etc. By the way, anyone ask a question, make sure you ask a question with the bottom right corner with the question mark. So I'll click that and then that will boost up the views. So make sure bottom right corner, you click the button and you ask a question through that. So my buddy who lived in China for 3 years in Shanghai and Hong Kong says that he saw barely any homeless people. And the other thing too is that if the government, for example, wants to do something on your land and they want to kick you off their land, they'll make sure that you get put in a place. They'll make sure that you have a home to live in. It's as if that, and I'm going to get over a few other things that I just absolutely blew my mind finding this out last night about China and how efficient China is when it comes to control and other things that are very strange as well. So my buddy stayed in China for 3 years, and he saw that they completely change the different parts of movies. You essentially, if you question anything about what the government is doing in China, police will show up to your house. Police will show up, government agents will show up and interrogate you and take you to the station if you question the government in China. I just want you to fucking understand for a minute how insane that is. That almost every country in the world is dependent on China that treats its citizens like this. It is mind-blowing. Australia's economy would collapse if they stopped working with China. A lot of the United States economy would be a bit messed up if we cut complete ties with China. Europe, like almost every Africa, okay? So many countries are utterly dependent on a nation that has the most insane control system on earth right now. Now, people are always talking about China's going to try to take over, but if China were to take over, I don't see it as China taking over. I see it as the cult that is influencing humanity, using China as a model, a floor plan to do what to the rest of the world. So then, as it turns out, in China, they have no Facebook, they don't have Instagram. They have different social media sites that are owned and controlled by the government. Okay? So hold on a second. This is where it gets very strange. In China, okay, the censorship is such that my friend who lived in China for 3 years, you go to a farmer's market today, you'll meet someone who knows about GMOs, knows about fluoride, knows they're spraying chemtrails, knows the government wants to take over and have us left with no freedoms, right? He said in China, in 3 years, he met no one who was aware of the global control system and what they wanted to do. And I said, dude, are you telling me seriously in 3 years you never met a single person in China who's aware of what is going on? He said, dude, they don't have access to that information. They have, you can't even blame them. The censorship is such that on the internet, you can't see so much information in China. It's already withdrawn from the internet. They don't even have access to it. Okay. So in 3 years, he never met anyone who knew that there was a control system, never met anyone in China who knew what the hell was going on in this world today. And in China, the government, they keep you satisfied. You have a job, you have money, it's comfortable living, but you absolutely cannot question the government. You absolutely cannot. Now, if the population was a little more pissed off about their living situation and how they were treated by the government, there could be a, uprising. But the fact that everyone is content, everyone is satisfied, nobody speaks out because you disappear if you speak out in China. You literally disappear. And this is a country that our countries are dependent on. So I just want you to understand, okay? When you go out, let's say you're in a Western nation right now, and you go outside, you can buy private property, you can buy a gun, you can grow your own food, you can this, you can that. You're not on facial recognition all the time. You're not completely... The fact that I can even sit here and say, yo, the United States government is doing some fucked up stuff, man. Like, it's messed up, sorry for swearing. Or if I was living in Europe and I was like, dude, the English government, it's so messed up what they're doing. The fact that I can even say that and not get put in jail, that's what it is like in China. They take you away, man. They get rid of you if you try to wake up other people to what's happening and to the government controlling you way too much. How the heck is that a real thing? Think about it. Let's kick this glue bag out of here. Think about it for a second. That is how much authority and control the Chinese government has over people. Now, not to mention, there's no GMOs in China, but there's a ton of pesticides. Thank you, Jessica. I already kicked him out. So I just want you to understand that, what you have, and you're born in a Western nation, you're watching this from the United States, you're watching this from Canada, you're watching this from Europe, you're living in a country where you have some of the most freedoms on earth, and you need to vehemently, in other words, viciously defend every single right you have, or we will be put in a prison without bars. And don't you think that every country looks at China and goes, holy shit, they have such control? That is insane. Any power-hungry person would look at China and be like, holy crap, I wish we could do that in our country. Trudeau literally said, I have a level of admiration for China, for their communist, because they really, it's efficient. You got to hang on to your culture. You got to hang on to the freedoms that you have in your country right now. Because what they want is very different from what we have right now. Very different. And in China right now, my point is this, is China has fallen, man. China has fallen. How is it that someone in China, and all I'm going to say is this, people are very content in China. There's not a lot of people who are pissed off about the government in China because they disappear. Everyone's very proud and happy of Xi Jinping and all this, right? But how could China break away from this controlled state? Now, if you speak out and you own a business, your business will never get another gig again. You'll never get another job again. Some road work in the United States, if they're doing a big bridge or they're doing a big patch of road that they're going to redo and rebuild, what takes 4 years to build a huge section of highway or whatever in the United States or Canada takes 4 months in China. They are insanely efficient. Insanely efficient. It's a top-down, who's the fastest, everyone. It's very capitalist, which isn't bad. There's nothing wrong with capitalism, despite what college is teaching you today, where, capitalism is the opposite of, or capitalism is like, the problem in this world. And all these people, by the way, I've seen a lot of people I went to high school with, who are completely clueless. And they're all pissed off. Look what Jeff Bezos did. He went to space and he has all this money and he should be donating to children, yada, yada, yada. Yo, you're literally perfectly falling for exactly what they want. They want you pointing at some random billionaire being like, he's the problem in this world, forgetting that your government is literally trying to top-down analysis, trying to top-down control every single aspect of your life, and you're worried about tax the rich. Newsflash, okay, to someone who makes under 60 grand a year, saying tax the rich, man, I pay so much taxes and they're taxing us and blah blah blah. Taxing the rich will not improve your life. If a rich person gets taxed, that will not improve your life. Okay, it's that we need to stop spending so much money on military shits. Stop spending so much money on ridiculous advertising for things that is not beneficial to the public, to the population. A lot of your taxes go to marketing things that aren't even good for the population. So anyone who thinks that, tax the rich, yes, cool, that's just great in theory, but you want to be looking at your government more than some random frontman, some elite frontman like Jeff Bezos, okay? So, anyways, China. The freedoms that you have right now are non-existent in a country on earth right now that has almost 1.5 billion people. So why is it that China has gotten to a point that you can't break out of that? Unless, I believe there's higher powers. I believe that there's a higher vibrational life form reality around us that can, especially, yeah, exactly, Kelly Bunny. That is a funny comment, man. Oh my God. Every time, okay, I know that there's a higher power and that, we have the power of good on our side. But, what could happen in China? Someone theorize with me here. How could China break out of this full control system where you cannot even question the state? You have to, in fact, worship it. How would they break out of that? And if they can't break out of it, how do we make sure that we don't succumb to it? This is my thing. Like, when I'm talking to this guy, and my mind is blown. I'm thinking, dude, there's already, the ground you're standing on. You walk outside of your house right now, bare feet. You're in your backyard, and it's pretty free. You got trees around you. You got this beautiful place. You're hanging out wherever you are. But there's a whole entire gigantic portion of the world where one person dictates to 1.5 billion people. And if you talk smack about them, they'll put your ass in a camp. They will completely put you in a concentration camp and make you work for free the rest of your life if you question the government or if you question this dude Xi Jinping. The fact that I'm even allowed, this is pretty mind-blowing. Think about it. The fact that I'm sitting here and I'm even allowed to say, I don't necessarily agree with everything that Xi Jinping is doing. The fact that I'm even able to say this right now, I would not be able to say if I was in China. What the hell, man? This is insane. And guess what? Mr. Xi Jinping there is not the he's just a front man too. It's a higher cult. It's an organized organization of people who are controlling China. The front man is just this guy Xi Jinping. Okay. Now, just so you know, remember in 2018, I believe it was, or maybe it was even 2020. When was the major Hong Kong protests? If you didn't know, Hong Kong had huge protests, but it had a constitution that had a lot of freedoms on it. But that constitution was expired after 20 years. It expired. That was written in the constitution that after the 20th year, you'll no longer be able to, what's it called? Who did that? Cesli Perez? Who's done that? Let me see if he says anything up here. Oh, Chunky. Yeah, let me know about that in the DMs. My point is that there was huge protests where these, and I want anyone to know this. I had a lady who commented on a post saying it was a post talking about how guys' testosterone levels are getting lowered and everything. And she's like, the alpha male is stupid anyway because like, and then she just was like, just going on and on liberally and, you know, yada, yada. And my point is this. The fact that you're even in a country right now that you're allowed to speak out about the government and say you don't like it, you are blessed. And there's countries in the world with 1.5 billion people who cannot do that. So during the protests, and by the way, for everyone who hates America, who's living in America and hates America and burns the American flag, Antifa, you go to this protest and you hate America, you hate everything that it stands for, etc. When a country like China, during a huge protest against their government, were holding American flags because it's a beacon of freedom. When everyone in Cuba at these huge protests were holding American flags, they want freedom. You got to understand, you live in a country where you're even allowed to question the government, you are blessed. Okay? So forget about forget about all that bullshit. Okay? You're blessed that you're even allowed to talk smack. So my point is that now, all those people who protested at the Hong Kong protest saying that they want freedom are now in. They are either dead, killed, or in a concentration camp that you will never see them again. So for everyone who says, for all the celebrities who promote this woke agenda and then don't talk, and then also promote Nike or anything made by slave camps in China, okay, it's the most hypocritical thing you've ever heard. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard when a totally privileged celebrity comes out and says, America, man, it's not so good because blah, blah, blah. And then they're promoting literally slave labor to this day. We can't go back in time and change history. We can't go back in time and change history. We can change the future, though. We can take control of the present, okay? And so, please, let us understand that. Exactly. And in China, by the way, you cannot own firearms. Only the military and the government can. Only the military and the police and the government can own firearms in China. Totally restrict your right to bear arms. Of course, that doesn't mean there's less killings there. There's still a ton of murders. People do murder each other. But the crime is extremely low because of the surveillance system that they're in. And it's funny because I talked to a Chinese lady who I said, what do you think about this social credit system thing in China with all the facial recognition cameras? He said, well, it's very safe because of that. And I was like, dude, no. You can't piss away your privacy rights to be safe. I'd rather live danger. What's the quote? There's a couple quotes. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And I'd rather have dangerous freedom than peaceful slavery. That's it. Now you're going to see why every time there's a shooting, the media and politicians who are guarded at all times by people with firearms, okay, security guards, etc., police, etc., guarding them with firearms, are then going to also try to ban them. I just want you to know that this is what dawned on me last night. This country, China, has pushed to such a state. There's almost, I don't see China being able to wake up from this slumber. I do not see China being able to wake up from this slumber unless some other country helps, like whatever. Like imagine this. You know how we grew up and our parents, you know, they're reading the newspaper, they're watching TV, etc., getting brainwashed. But at least we have the internet here where we're able to watch a live feed and talk about these types of things, or go on BitChute and look at the videos that are getting deleted from YouTube. You know, it's a blessing that we're even able to do that. And that's part of the reason why we're aware of this evil plan to fully artificial intelligence the entire world and create a global surveillance grid, etc., and make a one world government, all this stuff. You know, we at least understand that. In China, they have no understanding of that at all. They 3 years living there. And my friend never met a single person. Like he meets all kinds of people. None of them knew that their government isn't this exactly dope thing that makes sure they're all happy. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. The government's not done with its control system in China either. And guess what? I saw another video where Chinese students who go to school in Australia, which there's about 250,000 or maybe more Chinese students who go to school in Australia. Chinese students who question or speak out about the government while they're living in Australia, their family members who live in China get visited by the police, and they put the pressure on them, and they can get fined for having a family member who doesn't think like everyone else. Can you not see that this is what they want to push the entire world into? It is the absolute blueprint. It is their absolute favorite. They couldn't imagine a better reality. If you're an evil control system that's fully manipulating the world, then a blueprint, than looking at China, looking at how China does it. Arabella Bond said, China, of all the Oriental countries, is the most controlled, brainwashed since birth. They have no concept of free speech or independent thought. How can you bear that? It's true. Is it not true? Pretty sure it's pretty true. There's countries like Thailand that it actually has a ton of freedom, people standing up for their freedom. Malaysia, okay, Singapore, not so much. Pretty much fully 5G there. But, it's insane. It's insane that this is going on, and that the weirdest thing about it is that our governments well, I wouldn't even say they're our governments. They're hardly representing us, are they? But the governments that make up our countries are working so closely with this government that puts you in jail if you question what they're doing. Think about that for a second. We're running out of time here. Like the time is of the essence. Like there is not, because there's a saying, that a country will never remain. There cannot be a free country in the world and a communist country in the world. They will always end up butting heads. The communism will always try to spread throughout the rest of the world. Always, okay? And the only reason that my buddy was able to watch videos on Netflix and YouTube videos that are banned and whatnot in China is because he had a VPN. Anyone in China can get a VPN. But he says no one in China even knows about a VPN. And in fact, if you are promoting the use of a VPN, a virtual private network, to be able to go onto websites that are banned on, on Instagram or on the internet, if you promote that, then you will be questioned by the police for trying to elicit an illegal activity. Can you believe that? That is absolutely insane. But the reason why our governments are like, oh man, China, I have an admiration for them. China does so much cool stuff. Woo, woo. That's because if they don't kiss China's ass, then they get restrictions on their goods, on their production. So it seems like our governments, the tip tops of our governments, have agreed to, or maybe put a gun to their head, that they got to toe the line. They got to toe the line. They got to do whatever it is to stay on good terms with China, and that means you can't really question what China's doing. I just saw a video of a Chinese politician say Canada's history is very not good because of what happened. Meanwhile, China is doing probably 1,000 times worse to many different ethnic groups in China as we speak, in a concentration camp. This is what I think, okay? Because this could get depressing. You could get freaked out. You could get a bit sussed out about this and be like, dude, this is insane. Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, how are we going to win this, okay? Because I do believe we will win. I don't believe that we came here in this pinnacle moment in history to lose. Because right now, I want to explain something to you. We live in the freest nations that remain in the third dimension, okay? On Earth. We live in the freest nations. If you live in Europe, United States, or Canada, although United States pretty much is peak of freedom, not saying it's totally free, but understand that people are going to jail in Europe for making tweets that are considered offensive. So that's a huge restriction of rights and freedoms. And that's the tip of the iceberg. Next, it'll be offensive to question the government, and they'll try to pull you in. So these other countries are all trying to follow suit in how China deals with dissidents, okay, political dissidents. But let me see here. Let me click this. And so my point is this. I don't see that we will lose. I do think we will win. But I don't know how far it will get pushed until we all wake up. I don't know how far, like, for example, this is what I was thinking about last night. In the movie The Matrix, okay? In the movie The Matrix, artificial intelligence and this evil control system had already pushed it to a position where 99% of everyone is completely connected to artificial intelligence. They're grown in a lab in a test tube. They have a fake reality being played for their mind. They're connected to with the AI system, and that's what artificial intelligence is: harvesting energy to supply itself with energy by harvesting the energy from all these humans who are connected to these like test tubes and everything. Right? That's what is in the movie The Matrix. Now, in the movie The Matrix, despite having all odds against them, being that the whole system is controlled by AI, and like when they go into the Matrix, they're facing off with other artificial intelligence, characters like the whatever his name is, the dude with the sunglasses, Agent Smiths. Okay, there's Agent Smiths everywhere. And if you think about it, we're not at that point yet where AI is fully controlled and we're in a fake reality, although we wouldn't even know if we were. And we're in a fake reality, and it's like ridiculous odds against us to be able to wake up and get out of this evil system. But in the movie The Matrix, it was like full overbearing. The Matrix had 99% succeeded in suppressing all of human freedom, etc. And then in The Matrix, they ended up eventually at the end becoming free, and they against all odds beat this AI system that had a complete control. Because there's always a chink in your armor. There's always a weakness, no matter what the control system is. There is always a weakness, and that weakness was exploited in the movie The Matrix, and that's how they won. That's how human freedom was restored. So my point is that there is going to be, like, we're coming to a head, man. We're coming to a precipice where there's going to be, the path is either human freedom or the Great Reset. And it's either the Great Awakening or the Great Reset. And there's two different trails, man. There's two different paths. Humanity has to go down the human freedom one. Otherwise, it will be literally quite like the movie The Matrix. And I want you to understand something, too, that I want you to understand that what happened in The Matrix, let me just quickly explain, because it's very, very accurate in the description of how Earth is working today and where they want things to become. So in the movie The Matrix, in the first one, this guy is being explained what exactly the Matrix is. And Morpheus is explaining, and he says, look, dude, this is what happened. In the year 2000, this is what Morpheus is saying. Humanity became really, built a lot of artificial intelligence connected machinery and devices, okay? And at some point, humanity got very dependent on artificial intelligence. This is the plot for anyone who's just joined. This is the plot for The Matrix. Then, the artificial intelligence eventually became self-aware, became aware of itself. And it, for some reason in its mind, saw human beings as a pest that needed to be exterminated. Okay? That's what, in the movie The Matrix, artificial intelligence that humans got dependent on started seeing humans as a threat. So, a big war broke out. And the humans decided, damn, we're powering artificial intelligence mostly with solar power. So, we got to block out the sun to try to stop AI from functioning, and then we will be able to win against AI and we'll never be taken over by it again. This is what happened in The Matrix. But the AI, the artificial intelligence, got wise and realized, okay, the sun's blocked out. How else can we get power? Then the artificial intelligence realized, oh, damn, humans emit, 6,000 BTUs of heat per day. They emit this energy, this magnetic force field of energy that we can harvest. So, what happens in The Matrix is AI decided to make a huge human farm. Who the fuck thought of this plot, man? AI decided to make a huge human farm with billions of people who are grown in a test tube, and then their brain is connected to a fake reality that they think they're living, but they're actually just sitting in a test tube floating around in a liquid substance that keeps them from really aging that fast. And the AI harvests their energy. My question is this, man. Do you see where the world's being pushed today? How many wireless devices that they're trying to put in your home, how every single wireless device they want connected to the grid, how they want you fully connected to, they want everyone wearing the wearable technology. They want everyone wearing a smart device. I'm seeing videos of, they have people, promoting the use of connecting your body with artificial intelligence so that you become superhuman when really you become inhuman. So my point is this, I'm not trying to freak anyone out, but I want us to be on the same wavelength here. China, perhaps, is too far gone. So we should have a moment of silence for everyone in China who has no effing clue that this is being pushed across the world, and they have absolutely no idea that it is going on. I will say 99% of people, like there's probably a small percent of Chinese who do know that shit is going on and that this government is trying to control them and have illegal books. You know, in China, you can go to jail if you have a book that's not approved by the government, right? This is the same China that our countries are dependent on. And they ban books. They literally will put you in jail if you have a certain book in China. I'm not trying to roast China because I have admiration for I almost said what Trudeau said. I have a lot of admiration for China. It's like a communist fucking government. But I know the people of China, I don't know how they just pissed away every single goddamn right they ever had. And I don't know how they let themselves get put up in a barless prison without bars that controls their every move. But I hope we don't get put in that situation. I choose to create the reality, man, that I can't live in a place like, I couldn't live in a place like China that where your every move is completely tracked and traced, and you cannot speak out about the system that's going on. So my point is this. I don't know. I'm choosing to know. In other words, I don't yet know that, and someone said, the funny thing is that Chinese people are so smart. Well, the thing is this, the Chinese people that you see in the Western world, the Chinese people that are immigrants to, let's say, United States or Canada or Europe, generally are apparently that stereotype that Chinese are very, very smart just comes from the fact that most of the Chinese that come here are the richest, more well-off, more successful Chinese than the Chinese that don't get to come here or don't choose to come here. So that could be actually a false stereotype that they're very, very smart. But again, it goes to show that I knew very, very smart people in my high school. Very smart. Like I was getting C's, they were getting A's, like 90s, like acing every test, barely fucking studying. And I was struggling. I got a 3% on my grade 11 math exam. 3% out of 100. Completely blew it. And I thought at that moment that actually mattered. But I remember people being like, dude, you idiot, man. And then those are the same people who pretty much agreed and complied with every single government advisory that has ever happened in the last 2 years, last year and a half. And so my point is this. Being smart in school basically means jack shit. And I don't mean to put you down if you were really smart in school, but I just want you to know that the real intelligence of understanding they want you controlled, they want you in a smart city, they want you in a system that is controlling your every move, yada yada. You're not going to find that out in school. Okay? Generally speaking. And so I got a 3% on that math exam because I barely studied at all, and I just thought, what the Sam damn is a Pythagorean theorem? And so, yes, exactly. TJ Barry is asking a good question, but a question that we absolutely cannot in the slightest discuss on here. So please join the link in my bio. Go to the link in my bio, download the app Telegram, and join the private Telegram channel where we can discuss things that we can't discuss here. Okay? Also, on my last post I posted, there's 4 alternate accounts that you can join, like backup accounts, but I call them alternate accounts. So my point is this. I don't know, because I'm getting to something here. I don't know how far this evil system that doesn't even originate from a 3-dimensional human being, Okay, this is a spiritual war, okay, where they want the human spirit controlled. They don't really even care that much about your body. It's your higher self that they want to be disconnected from, and your flesh suit, okay, your third dimensional body is the middleman. This is literally a war on your soul. Weaponry that they deploy against our soul, like fluoride, like trace pharmaceuticals that you're consuming. By the way, I'm never going to have any, even if it's organic bread, I'm not having organic bread that isn't sourdough. Because if it's not like sourdough bread, you can't use tap water to make, because the tap water has so many chemicals in it that it kills the bacteria that's supposed to make the, flour, that's sourdough. So if you're having sourdough bread that's organic, first thing, you want to make sure it's organic because there's no pesticides. The second thing is that if you're having sourdough bread, you know it's not tap water. Okay? So that's something that I found out the other day, which is very interesting. How did we get on the topic of bread? I don't know. But anyways, China. I don't know. My point is, I don't know how far they're going to push this before humans wake up. I don't know if it will get to, I just can't imagine. If it gets as far as what's happening in China, where they literally lock your ass up for questioning the government, and everyone's divided, and everyone has a job, and they're all content and satisfied, and they have no reason to question the government because they don't hear any opposing viewpoints. They only hear the government's perspective. I really don't know if humanity will be able to get out of that situation, if that became the global norm of a full-blown surveillance state. Full-blown, one world government controls your every move. I don't know if we'll be able to get out of that. So we need to get out of it before that. We are the last bastions of freedoms. We are the countries with the last true freedoms, although it's not fully free, on earth. Start having pride for your country. Start having admiration for your country, because you have some of the freest freedoms than any other damn place in the world, especially one place that has about a fourth of the population on Earth, maybe about a fifth of the population on Earth. That is China. So if you're even able to speak, like I said, about the system that is controlling you, if you're even able to speak against your government, please count your damn blessings when you go to bed tonight. Please, because otherwise you're an ungrateful bastard. No, I'm just kidding. But please, we got to understand. This is why they're trying to make you hate your own nation. This is why they're trying to make Americans hate America and Canadians hate Canada and yada, yada, yada. Never mind the fact that, well, we'll talk about that later on. But you could get freaked out about this. You could get a bit sussed out. You could get a little bit, for example, anxious about this. And by the way, I do want to say one thing before I continue. Google's GPU processor, so their graphics processing unit, or their CPU or their GPU, one of their PUs is called Adreno. Like their main thing that they use is Adreno. It's called Adreno, and that's Google Chrome. And the Chrome logo has a 6, and a 6 in it. Adreno Chrome 666. Anyway, we'll talk about that later on. Maybe on my Telegram channel, not on Instagram. Please don't make me, don't ask me the questions too much more about that. I can't speak about more about it than that. But the situation is this. If you advocate for spring water in China, they will put your ass in jail. If you say you shouldn't drink tap water in China, you will be put in jail. That's it. But if you're there as a foreigner, they don't mind. They don't really mind as a foreigner. They want you to have a good time. They don't want you to see the other side of China. There's no documentaries made by Chinese people in China about what the government does to them. They don't exist. I'm not trying to freak you out. All I'm saying is this. Humanity will prevail. And I just am choosing to know how far it will get before human freedom is fully restored. But we cannot let it get that far, man. We cannot let it get that far, because I don't know if we'll be able to pull it back. And let me tell you this. I am other than fully aware of the exact way that we will restore human freedom. I'm not 100% sure at this exact moment how we will win. And all I know is this. We have to, there's no choice. Otherwise, there's really no choice. We have to do everything we possibly can about becoming vehemently against anything that takes away our freedoms. We have to be vehemently against anything that takes away your freedoms. And the other thing is that you have to understand that this is a full-blown assault on, this is a spiritual war. It is a spiritual war. It is not it's not just a physical war in the third dimension, man. There are entities that exist outside of the visible light spectrum that are influencing cults of people who have ancient religions that aren't like the religions that me and you know about. Ancient religions that believe in negative entities, and they worship and sacrifice things to negative entities that exist outside of this light spectrum. This is who, I just want you to understand something. You think it's a bit woo-woo to think that there's other entities that exist outside of the visible light spectrum, but I just want you to know that these people who are controlling our governments globally, there is a cult, a spider web of people who control governments globally. They have an ancient religion where they believe and worship negative entities, low vibrational entities that exist outside of our light spectrum. This means that this is a spiritual war that is being, the evil doers of this world are being influenced from outside of the third dimension, outside of the visible light spectrum. Think about that for a second. Where does that take us? Well, it goes to show that it's not all about the third dimension, okay? It's not all about just the physical reality that we're in. It's not to free us fully. It actually begins in a higher dimension. And what do I mean by that? Your body right now, you're not even in the third dimension. You are observing the third dimension. Your higher self, your spirit, your soul is a higher dimensional life force. And it is residing in and it is tethered to your third dimensional body. Okay? Therefore, you looking around right now, you are observing, you are a higher dimensional entity that is observing the third dimension. Therefore, you have powers, being a higher dimensional entity. You have psychic powers. You have spiritual abilities. You have creational abilities, vibrational and quantum capabilities. That's why China, one of the main things they consume, or they're told to consume, is MSG, monosodium glutamate, a known neurotoxin. Does that make them dumb enough to not question the government that's controlling them? I don't know. Is this the same kind of reason that they're putting fluoride in our water, perhaps? Because they want you in a weakened state so that you accept this? This is my thing. I don't believe the key to human freedom is going out there with a sign or a pitchfork or doing this and that. I do like to see these protests. That's good. But I believe that it's a higher, this type of war that we're in right now, which is spiritual warfare, cannot be fought with conventional weapons. Okay? It's totally different weaponry. Weaponry like using your higher self, using your, strengthening the connection between your higher self that exists just outside of this visible light spectrum. But all you're seeing is your third dimensional body, the representation of it. So my point is this. I don't have all the answers. I choose to have all of them, but I don't have them yet. And I don't know exactly how human freedom will be fully restored, but I know this, that there is a orchestrated attack against our higher self, our third eye, our pineal gland, our energy bodies, because they are trying to weaken the flow of energy that goes through your body, like what happens when you have heavy metals that are in a ton of food, like when you have genetically modified food that alters your DNA, which is there's no GMOs in China, which is interesting. Different countries have different ways that they control the population. Maybe because we have such a culture of freedom embedded in our DNA, they need to throw everything in the kitchen sink at us in North America and in Europe. They're throwing fluoride, they're throwing GMOs, they got the 5G, they got this, they got that. They're throwing everything at us. Is it because our culture and our DNA for thousands of years has been a more freedom-oriented? I don't know why. I'm choosing to know why, but I know this. One of the ways out of this is the only way I can really think of, is that you have a very strong connection to your higher self. Is that you have a very decalcified pineal gland, that you drink clean water, that you're not being polluted, because this is a spiritual war, and spirituality begins in another realm that's not this realm, but what tethers you to that realm is your pineal gland, your third eye, and your physical body. There is an etheric tether. In other words, there is an energetic tether between the body that you're sitting in right now holding your phone and your higher self. And what weakens that connection is the pesticides, the fluoride, the heavy metals, the fake mercury fillings, the fluoride mouthwashes that they want you to do at the dentist, the pesticides, the genetically modified food, all of these things. And this is why I believe that we may not know what the full-blown solution is now, but I know this: the solution presents itself when we're in a position to be able to receive and even utilize whatever that solution may be. Someone said, in other words, we need to be a conduit for consciousness. Your body is basically a big decoding biological system where the leaves aren't green, the sky isn't blue. You are decoding the frequency of light to be that color, but it's just your eyes. If you were a different being, if you're a bear, if you're a dog, these colors are different. What makes the color is the observer, okay? And therefore, your body is a transmitter and a receiver of data and information. The healthier your body is, the better data you are transmitting. The better that this vibrational world will be for us, the healthier you are. That is why there's such a push to control the food and water supply. That is why, and someone was mentioning too, what did they say up here? They said, let me see, don't we have microcrystals in our pineal gland? Yes, we do. We have piezoelectric microcrystals in our pineal gland. In your cell phone, there's a small shaving of crystal, which is of quartz crystal, which is the receiver for data and information from the cell towers. You have a deposit of microcrystals in your pineal gland, in your third eye as we speak. Yeah. But fluoride and GMOs create a calcification on your third eye, on that pineal gland. Therefore, that could be considered a way to cut us off from that vibrational frequency, that ability for us to access the other realms, etc. Okay? WIG 219, and this is why I'm about to answer this folks' question, but the point is this: we need to be able to be in a heightened state against this literal devious system, against the human consciousness, against the human state of consciousness. Yes, you can reverse your pineal gland being calcified. We talk about that regularly by using something like the purified shilajit, which is fully banned in China. In any way, the type of shilajit that's actually beneficial for you. I'm sure they have all the knockoffs, but they're not a very big fan of superfoods in China. There's not a big market for natural superfoods in China. We are blessed. Let me just tell you this. We are blessed to even be able to take something like the purified shilajit that is clinically studied, that is an ancient superfood. We're blessed to be able to take the rhodiola rosea, which is in the Action 2.0. These are types of ingredients that energize the human body, that restore vitality, and that have clinical studies backing up that claim. Because a lot of people say, oh, you could claim this, you can claim that, yada, 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 yada. But if you have the legitimate clinical studies, that makes the night and day difference. For example, 7 Wonders from Chalk Supplements, okay? And by the way, Chalk, I'm going to tell you, they have a today-only discount code we're going to talk about in a moment. But the 7 Wonders, okay, has it has 7 different mushrooms in it. 2 of them are, one is lion's mane, and lion's mane has clinical studies on the ability to upregulate, or in other words, stimulate the production of neural stem cells, okay? Neural stem cells is new brain cells. If you start producing neural stem cells, you will have mental clarity, you will have concentration, you'll completely remove any brain fog you potentially had. You will have, concentration and focus. 1,000 times more powerful. Mental clarity. That's what the lion's mane does. The other ingredient in here is the chaga extract. And chaga extract is one of the first things that pops up when you type in how to decalcify the pineal gland. How to decalcify the pineal gland, you will see chaga is one of the first things. The reason chaga is on there is because it has the highest antioxidant content in the natural world. That is 2 of the ingredients in the Chalk 7 Wonders. This is one of the most popular for men and women. Let's kick this glue bag out. So yes, exactly. And it's very interesting because if you start taking multiple adaptogens, like the purified shilajit, along with the Tongkat 100-to-1 extract, you are getting extremely rare plant compounds, which can increase the human function, the human mind, energy levels, and more. Some of the clinical studies that chalk has shows its benefits to be able to increase concentration, mood, focus, energy levels, and motivation. Why is that? Because it's detoxifying your body. Because it's removing the toxins that have accumulated over the years. And you receive these rare nutrients that increase brain function, that are superfoods, that I believe, truly, are here for a very specific reason during this pinnacle moment in human history, in human consciousness. That is what these superfoods are for. The Action 2.0 for all-day natural energy levels. Clinically studied to boost nitric oxide levels in the blood, which is increasing brain function, which is increasing energy levels. Clinically studied to increase ATP. ATP is adenosine triphosphate, which is the fuel currency of your body. The fuel, the mitochondrial, it's what your mitochondria are supposed to produce is ATP. That's what gives you energy. Clinically studied to boost adenosine triphosphate, ATP. Now, Chalk has 2 different codes today that they have a extremely limited time discount on, which is because they received a new shipment to their warehouse. And the 2 deals they're doing today, and if anyone can write this down for me, I appreciate it. And by the way, you can get to the website in the link in my bio. The 2 discounts they have is 44% off lifetime discount of any subscription or bundle using the code 44LIFE. Daily Action's the most popular for men. And the Tongkat and Shilajit is one of the most popular for women. Or use the code 44OFF for 44% off all orders store-wide. Someone write down for me, 44 off, 44 life. One's a lifetime discount, one's a store-wide discount, both for 44%. Take your pick. The best deal, in my opinion, is the lifetime discount because every month you're getting 44% off. Or, in my opinion, the other discount code, if you're overseas, the best code is 44LIFE 44 off, which is a 44% off store-wide discount. Okay, this is a today-only discount. Thank you, Princess Wildheart. Thank you, OVO XOMO. Thank you, everyone else who wrote the discounts as well. 44 life and 44 off. No space. And you go to the link in my bio to be able to apply those coupons at chalk.com. June XXE. If you want, you can either DM me with any questions or screenshot the codes that are being that are scrolling past right now. What are these products? Adrian asked. The one thing I'm going to say is that for men, the most popular chalk supplement is the Chalk Daily because it has the purified shilajit, which is clinically studied, to boost testosterone for men and to balance and optimize hormones for women. But the difference with the Chalk Daily is that it contains, ingredients in it that have been believed throughout ancient India and ancient Ayurvedic science to be specifically suited for men. So the Chalk Daily has mucuna, which is a bean extract. It's a very interesting superfood in ancient India. Also, I'm sure there's many Texans in this live, no limits. The other thing they have is tribulus, which is another never before heard of, basically, extract that is in the daily. Every single guy, if you get a 44% off lifetime discount of the Chalk Daily and you don't take up Chalk on that offer and you use the code 44LIFE, if you don't do that, you got to be nuts. You absolutely got to be nuts. With what they've been doing to the human system, to men, and to the chemicals they're adding to our food and water supply, if you don't spend $27 or so per month on Chalk Daily just by itself, for men, you got to be nuts. And the equivalent would be the purified shilajit for women. If you don't get the 44% off lifetime discount and you get the shilajit to optimize your endocrine system every single month, you're taking a double dose of this every day, I have to say, what is the deal with that? Because think about it. They've been trying to reduce your vitality. They've been trying to lower your system with these covert chemicals. They don't want you taking superfoods. Someone's asking how long it takes to work. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with the supplements. So chalk supplements have clinical studies, right? And they're clinically studied based on a period of 90 days of people consuming them from 90 days, 90 days of consistent consumption. But some people feel it right away. Other people feel it later on. So it depends. How many years have you drank fluoride? How many years has GQ Coffee consumed fluoride and consumed GMOs and consumed pesticides? How many years? That is why you want to give your body the time and the consistent nutrients to be able to, and let's kick this glue bag out of here as well. A consistent dose. The clinically studied benefits are based on 90 days of consistent consumption. So make sure that you get a consistent dose. I'm going to take the double dose now of the purified Shilajit I just took out of the bottle. And you need about 8 to 12 ounces of water to wash that down well. Wait till that kicks in. Wait till you feel the mental clarity you get with rare plant compounds. Which one's the best for cleansing our pineal gland? Purified Shilajit. Purified Shilajit and the other super beneficial supplement for your third eye is the Irish moss or the 7 Wonders. Okay, 7 Wonders and Irish moss. Both very, very powerful superfoods. The other thing I wanted to say is do not use any other coupon codes. A guy messaged me and say, hey, I got this code off of Chalk, yada, yada. Don't use Chalk's codes. Use these codes, 44 off or 44 life. DM me at any time to ask what the current deals are. But don't go use the code on the website. Don't use this code there, that code here. Use these codes. Ask me for the codes at all times. I'll give you the best codes that we have possibly to offer. And that way, especially if you found out about Chalk from this page, you want to be able to support the page and support the work we do by getting the supplements using these codes. What is in the 7 Wonders? There's lion's mane, which is a superfood, super mushroom, one of the kings of medicinal mushroom extracts out there, which builds nerve growth factor, causes nerve growth factor, which is new nerves in the brain, which is brain function. There's also chaga in here, which is been believed to decalcify the pineal gland. There's turkey tail, maitake, cordyceps, and what else is in here? Oyster mushroom, and that's all, and reishi. And those are all superfoods. These are all mushrooms, and they're medicinal mushrooms, or should I say adaptogenic mushrooms. Extremely beneficial. They've been used for thousands of years. Ace Doan said, if you're full of shit, it will relieve you of it. That's a detoxing. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what you're talking about, but I got to agree with you on there, big guy. Let me click another question here. Yes, exactly. Can you get the... Devin, please, man, I can't answer that question on a live feed. Make sure, though, this is, like I said, today-only discount code. You're not going to be able to use these codes tomorrow. 44 off using the code 44, 44% off using the code 44 off, or subscribe to any Chalk supplement and use the code 44 life for a lifetime 44% off discount. Go to the link in my bio and you'll see the chalk.com website. Okay, choq.com. You'll see that link in my bio. Make sure you go to the link in my bio, get those coupon codes, and DM me if you have any questions about it. Chalk does ship worldwide, and like I said, the first and foremost most popular supplements for men is the Daily Action, and for women, it is the Shilajit and 7 Wonders, or the Shilajit and Tongkat. The Tongkat is that wild-crafted adaptogen from Malaysia, which is very, very powerful. It's actually a common household name in Malaysia. Everyone knows about Tongkat Ali. They also call it Long Jack, etc. Leo, the problem with any Shilajit that is in a tar resin form is that it's minimum 20 to 30% water. I would never in 1 million years consume raw Shilajit tar resin. The crude raw tar resin can be 20 to 30% water. There's no clinical studies. It can be watered down. They have additives in them to stretch it. You don't want the Shilajit tar resin. Chalk has, and by the way, on the National Journal of Ayurvedic Medicine, they have specifically an advisory: do not consume Shilajit tar resin. Get the concentrated hot water purified stuff. This is by far the best Shilajit that is publicly available. You will feel a difference. And like I said, it is clinically studied as well. The two codes, 44 life, lifetime discount using the code 44 life, or 44% off all orders store-wide. The best deal for anyone overseas is getting a multi-month supply using the code 44 off. Anyone in the United States, the best code for you is 44 life. DM me with any questions. Do not miss out on this deal. It's today only, as I said, and Chalk only has a very limited supply because they got a new batch of product to their warehouse. DM me with any questions. Make sure you join my Telegram. I will see you all soon, and I will put this video on BitChute, by the way, too. So much love, everyone. We'll talk extremely soon, and hit me up, like I said, any questions that you got, all right? Talk soon, everyone. Let's see if I can actually get out of here.